Welcome back to Outside the Box. I am one of your hosts, Andy, and my co-host here, the infamous Robin Riddle. You're a nurse practitioner in the Knoxville Clinic. How many months into practice are you with us?
Two. Started in June.
So I know. Yeah. And it's like you've been here the entire time.
I know. It just fell right into place.
New to medicine. 10 years in medicine, new to us. And we're very lucky to have you. And we're lucky to talk about my gut for the second time. We've already been through this once, but we forgot to press play. I just have to tell you that. Okay. And I needed a second. It was hard, you know, when we go through all that comic gold improv without pressing play. I know. That's okay. I'll talk to production later. So, so what we talked about in the first round, which we're going to talk about again, is the GI map. So Robin has taken on the toughest project probably of your medical career, Andy's gut and skin. Yes. I'm telling you, Robin's on the cure for it. So here's what we're looking at. I've had a long-standing issue with what I thought were eczema flares, redness of the skin in the T-zone, scalp, and chest and hair-bearing areas. So I thought it was going to be seborrheic dermatitis, eczema. I used topical steroids on and off since my teens, really. Really flared too. I have type 1 diabetes, so I get flared when my glucose is off, flared with stress. But I've learned now, too, that it's actually psoriasis. I went to a dermatologist, and I was encouraged to get on a DMARD like methotrexate or a biologic like Cosentyx or Skyrizi. Great. I will tell you, like, the biologics are great drugs, but I thought I want to see what is really causing it. I'm hyper reactive to things. I have a hyper immune system. So my interleukins, my toll-like receptors are on fire. This is all medical stuff, but just saying that I'm very sensitive to things, and a lot of that immunity, and correct me if I'm wrong, your skin is a reflection of what's happening on the inside.
Absolutely.
So we got to fix our gut first and be able to fix our skin.
Yeah.
So instead of fixing things, really, you want to go to the source and not the end results. You go upstream. Have you ever heard that story of going upstream? It's like it's a little bit morbid, but your kids keep being thrown into the river and they keep going down. Instead of just taking all the kids out, you go and get the guy who's throwing them in the river. You have to You have to go upstream.
There we go. That makes sense.
That's more than just medicine, but going upstream. So what's the causative agent and what's the etiology?
And that's what functional medicine is all about in general.
You mean that's what we do here?
What we do here.
What?
Underlying cause.
Underlying cause.
Yeah.
So gut, immunity. Think about the first thing you do when you're born. Think about the first thing you do when you're born. You're getting immunity from breast milk or from being bottle fed or breast milk. That is the first thing, is your gut starts in your mouth. It's a long track, and you know where it ends. So gross. Sorry. But for me, we started off with a Dunwoody test. And can you kind of explain what a Dunwoody test is?
So you did the Dunwoody food sensitivity test, which is a really awesome test. When I'm really trying to get a full picture, I love doing that along with the GI map. And it is a blood test, and it looks at the 88 most commonly reactive foods. And it's looking for IgE, which is going to be allergies, IgG4, which is going to try to protect you from those allergies, or IgE4, IgG, which is a food sensitivity, and then C3D, which makes food sensitivities worse. All of that to say we get a big breakdown of all these different foods and classes of foods. And we see if there's just common triggers. When I looked at Andy's, everything was a trigger.
Everything. I was allergic to lettuce. It's like, I can't. There's no way. No. There's no way. And so I had a few that really popped up, like the actual percentage, or they do it in like some sort of like they have a marker for it. I was very high with candida or yeast. I was very high with gluten, which I'm not surprised with having diabetes.
Absolutely, yeah.
But everything else. So Robin's like, Andy,
it's not your food.
It's not your food.
It's your gut. So seeing that many reactions come up on a test like that automatically triggers me to think leaky gut. So what is happening is these junctions in between the intestinal cells that line your whole intestines are supposed to be nice and tight. In a condition called leaky gut or impaired intestinal permeability, those cells start to pull apart from each other and they shrink and they're damaged. And so then you have these little holes in your intestines that allows things to leak out. So toxins, where you just feel really cruddy, but also little bits of your foods that you're eating, which is then why you will start to react to everything you're eating.
Right.
Because your body sees that out in the bloodstream. It's like, lettuce is not supposed to be in the bloodstream. I need to create an immune response to this. So then that's where things like delayed food sensitivities, where people will eat something and 2 days later they have a headache, that can come from things like that. Your skin absolutely is a reflection. I mean, if I eat gluten, I immediately have a hive on my forehead. I don't know why that one spot, but I have issues with it as well. That's coming from that massive immune response that's happening when you're eating things and it's getting out into the body where it should not be. So Andy asked me to fix them.
Yes. I said, thank you, Robin. Fix it. That'd be great. Your greatest challenge ever to come onto the performance medicine team. Fix my flares. There is increased risk of depression, suicide with psoriasis patients. It becomes debilitating because it's real.
That's because your neurotransmitters are also created in your gut. All of your health originates in the gut. If you don't have a good gut, nothing else is going to be right.
Fix your gut, not your butt.
There we go. That's a new tagline.
And probably and your butt, right?
That's the new tagline.
That's the new tagline.
So I had the wonderful task of telling Andy that he was going to have to collect a stool sample for the GI map test.
I thought I've done a lot of vile things in my life until I did this. I like to call it the not the squat and scoop. It's not scoop and squat and scoop. And you have to collect your own stool sample.
It's one time. It's only one time.
It's one time. It's fine. If you're going to do this, read the directions because I did it wrong. So read the directions. Robin told me read the directions 5 times. I didn't. And so I did it wrong and labeled it wrong. But you'll collect stool samples. What it does is it tests for the lower gut, the colon too, because anything that's going down this way is going to be colon. Anything that's going up this way is going to be small intestines. So large intestines, small intestines. So we're testing what is, and to my understanding, it's the dysbiosis of bacteria. What bacteria should you have in your gut that you don't have? How much of it do you have? Is it low or high? And is there anything else that is there that shouldn't be there?
Absolutely.
Is that correct?
So pathogenic bacteria, the bad stuff like E. coli and C. diff and Giardia and things like that, it's going to look for. Dysbiosis, like you said. So things that maybe aren't necessarily bad to be there, but we don't want to see them out of balance. Looking at the good stuff to see if it's in balance.
What you would get out of a probiotic.
Yes. H. pylori, which is an infection that can happen in the stomach. And then it's going to look at intestinal health markers. So it's looking for markers for zonulin, which is going to help us detect leaky gut syndrome. It looks at the immune system of your gut. So your immune system is in your gut too. Like there's a lot of it that goes on in your gut. So we're looking at your inflammation, all these kind of really awesome things that give me a really good picture of what's going on in the gut and then how to fix it.
How to fix it. So and before we did the GI map, I thought, okay, can we just not? You can just kill whatever's in there. And she's like, sure. What we're doing is we're casting a broken bone. You got to set the bone first, then cast it. We do that quite often with pre and probiotics, which are a good thing. And it cures a lot of things for people. I had a patient come back last week that said, Digest Shield has changed my life and it's great. And we're having no symptoms. That's great. We not need to look further, but it's not the end all be all, the only thing that you can do. So if you really want to know what's going on in there, find out, take samples and see. So we wiped it out. So my regimen, Robin said, do you want to do the atomic bomb or you just want to the atomic bomb? I'm ready. It's been a long time. So we did a 10-day course of doxycycline, Alinea, and Levaquin. In addition, that was it. Those 3.
Omeprazole.
And omeprazole too, because I had an H. pylori infection, which I think Dad has.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was so weird. But we did find out that H. pylori is a trigger for psoriasis.
It is. And I have traveled internationally. I was in Taiwan for 2 months. I've been in Africa and I may have picked up, and it's a common infection in the US too. But so we killed it. So I went through a 10-day course and now we're in the rebuilding phase. So the rebuilding phase, kind of explain what we're doing for rebuilding.
So you're taking the L-glutamine, which is a branched chain type of amino acid that helps to rebuild the lining of the gut. But then also I've started Andy on a peptide that's called BPC, which is body protection compound 157. It's an oral peptide that has been researched and shown really great results in helping to rebuild the lining of the gut.
And it's derived from gastric juices.
It is. Yep. Yep, it is. So, I mean, I love peptides. There's all kinds of different peptides for all kinds of
Peptide
different
queen.
things. Yes.
You want a
queen.
peptide?
Yeah.
Come see the peptide
Yeah.
queen. Want a
But,
Dairy Queen? Don't come here.
you know, but the BPC 157 will work wonders for a leaky gut. Diet's a big piece of it too.
Don't look over off
I
camera.
see the milkshake that's sitting over there.
So the milkshake is just for, this is just for show. Okay. Listen, this is just for show. We were going to do a before and after of I drank this and see if I reacted to it. I never eat milkshakes. Are you serious? Come on.
Okay.
Come on. I have diabetes. I'm a good one.
In general, though, in treating a leaky gut, typically we're staying away from sugars, a lot of carbs, anything processed. Usually I tell people if you could go and kill it yourself or grow it yourself, that's what you're allowed to eat. Things coming out of a package, all those kind of things are going to have chemicals that are going to further harm the gut. So a big piece of treatment falls on the patient and falls on you to say, okay, I need to clean my diet up. I'm going to eat fresh. I'm going to eat organic. I'm going to cook my own foods versus eating fast food, eating on the go, eating out of packages.
You feel better. Like you feel better. 100%. All those foods for convenience were meant to make you buy another one. Yeah. I mean, it truly, honestly is. Yeah. There's, we've had patients that have been accountants for big companies like that, and they see the bottom line and what adding preservatives to those foods looks like. Oh. So it's, I have to say, it's just not a good thing. You're going to feel better eating that way anyways. But what we're trying to do is protect the gut lining as we're rebuilding, so we're not creating and potentiating these further holes that we have. So how do I feel?
Yeah, how's
Thank
it
you
going?
for asking. It is difficult to find. I call that eating like a robot. Like you can't. We live in a modern society. It's very hard. I know people are on the go. Not everybody can go and afford or eat organic all the time. Right. Making better choices is better than not making a choice at all. So I think a step in the right direction is great. Or the easy ones, sodas, don't do it. Nobody needs one. You don't need caffeine from that. Those are meant to be addictive. But for me, I wasn't a soda drinker anyways. I do. Oh God. I love alcohol. I'm sorry. I do. This is on camera. This is fine. No, nobody's restricted. Okay. It's not that I love alcohol, but I do.
It's not a problem.
It's not a problem.
You enjoy a glass
Is that what every person
with?
That's what every person with a problem says. Is it's not a problem. But for me, it's I liked bourbon and I liked wine. So those are dark wines, and those are more the inflammatory alcohols. Even though wine has resveratrol in it, which is good for inflammation, still it's a lot of it is harmful to your gut. Wine is the reason you get the high off of wine, or you get the intoxication from it, is because it's a toxin, intoxication toxin. Yeah. So none of alcohol is actually good for you. No. But what we have decided, and Robin and I had a compromise on, was vodka. Why vodka?
No sugar, no gluten. You can mix it with like a soda.
And it is
not like soda, like soda water soda. Nothing with sugar in it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that's what I've done with lime, and I've actually liked it, and it's great, and it feels
I mean, it's better than the other options.
Better than the other. That's the step in the right direction for me too. And
I'm not like super, I'll be as strict as patients want me to be for them, but it's all about a compromise, because ultimately when it comes down to treating a gut and keeping a gut healthy, it's not like a 6-week regimen and then, hey, I'm fixed and I can go back to the way that I was before. You're going to end up in the same situation.
And that's what I'm learning.
Yes. It's a lifestyle change. It's a healthier lifestyle, and it is totally worth it. So how's your skin doing?
Okay, totally worth it. So yes. So skin is better. I'm still getting flares.
Okay.
Flares.
That milkshake's helping that a lot.
I'm still getting flares, and I have no idea why, Robin. No, I am. And even with, it was coming out of like the first week or second week of rebuilding, where I was being pretty strict, I still got some flares. Okay. I run a high stress lifestyle anyways. I'm always kind of stressed. Yeah. And 2, I have diabetes working against me. So sometimes the flares always happen if blood sugars have been running higher, or if I'm stressed, it will come up. It's easily tampered down now. What I have noticed, the biggest difference, and I wasn't intending this, with psoriasis, you can look up symptoms of it and see clinical manifestations. It's going to be red, scaly skin, but also pitting of nails. Yeah. So that's like one of those things you look like, and that's a test question for mid-levels for I guess. It's like pitting of the nails. What would you guess? Psoriasis. My nail pitting, I do have on several nails and always have. You can physically see halfway where it is no longer pitted. So as it's growing out, the pitting is staying on the tail end of it. And as I'm growing in, I'm growing much stronger, healthier nails.
That is awesome.
Which is crazy cool, and not something I was intending.
You can see outwardly that it's doing something.
I see outwardly it is doing something. Yeah. I still think we're going to go into phase 2 for us. That's what we talked about earlier.
And it's not always... Not that I didn't get it right the first time. I mean, I'm always right. But
exactly. Robin's always right.
It's more that sometimes it takes more than one round to clear stuff. Like, this is not something that just happened to you yesterday. This is something you've been dealing with for a really long time.
15 years.
Yeah.
So a 10-day course is not going to cure a 15-year issue. And dude, with a gut, I think the gut needs time.
It does.
BPC, what would you say time-wise? 3 to 6 months?
At least 3 months. At least. But
Most
6 months if we can get out of it. Yeah.
So it's something you continue.
You can.
You can continue. Yeah. But once you rebuild, you would have to stay pretty clean in order to continue that. So it's really, once you kind of attack another hole or a decreased junction or permeability, you're going to have to close it back up again. Mm-hmm. So BPC is not a bad thing. I think of anything for patients, everything comes at a cost and peptides come at a cost. So it's like, what does my long-term look like?
So that's why I say at least 3 months. And if you can afford to keep going on it, then
it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt.
But I am so proud of my nails. I'm very happy with success. I'm
so
ready.
We're going to do round 2.
Round 2 for me.
We're going to knock this again.
And what we're going to do for round 2, we're changing things up. So we really attacked the H. pylori this past time. On this, which I was very surprised, is Candida yeast did not show up in my GI map.
But it did in the blood.
It did in the blood.
So we're assuming it's still an issue.
So we're going to attack this with round 2. And I'm going to come back and I think I'm going to look like Brad Pitt.
There we go. That's the goal. That's what we're going for.
But not Brad Pitt now. Brad Pitt like 20 years ago.
Yeah, there we go. Right? The young one.
So yes. Yep. So who should get a GI map?
Anyone who has chronic gut issues. So unexplained diarrhea, constipation, bloating, abdominal pain, especially like you eat a meal and then all of a sudden you feel like you're like 6 months pregnant. Definitely need to look and see what's going on in there. Reflux, just anything. If they've gone to a GI doctor for anything and didn't get an answer, do a GI map.
Or if you're on a PPI, if you're on omeprazole, why are you on omeprazole?
Yeah.
Like, unless you have a Barrett's esophagus, why are you on omeprazole?
Yeah. That goes into a whole other topic of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. That's another video that we need to do.
Explain this.
What is SIBO? We'll get to that one. It's on the list. But yeah, anything that's going on with the gut, absolutely get a GI map. Worst I can tell you is like, hey, your gut's perfect. But if you're coming with complaints, your gut's not going to be perfect. And there is something that we can tweak and make you feel better.
Get your gut tested and go see Robin. You will not be sorry. Do it today. Just dial 1-800, dial Robin. I don't know the Knoxville number, right? Not the Knoxville one. I know
865-249-7672.
Look at you. 2 months in and already know our phone number. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us again. If you have comments, please direct them to Robin because I do not want to answer them. Thank you so much. See you soon.
Don't go away.